despite his other engagement and his leg problems. Since I've known him for the last 10-15 years, I took the liberty in getting him here. So I'm very thankful to you, sir, for coming today. So also V.S. Prasad garu, Revati garu, Adbali Kanta Chakravarti garu, Satrayana garu. As the formality I will not take much time, I will just introduce our speakers very briefly. Dr. Pushpamitra Bhargava. P.M. Bhargava, many people may not know his full name. He is a scientist, writer, thinker, activist, administrator, institutional builder. He is the founder director of Center for Cellular Molecular Biology, Hyderabad. So he is actually Hyderabadi now, more than Hyderabadi. He is widely regarded as the architect of modern biology and biotechnology in India. He is educated in Varanasi and Lucknow. He got his PhD at the age of 21. So that's marvelous. He worked in US, UK, France and Germany. So one more thing I want to tell you which is not there here, which I know, please correct me if it is wrong. You are a trained mathematician. He is a biologist now, but his background is mathematician, but he is a biologist now, which was not there in the data, so that's why I wanted to ask the permission whether what I am saying right or different. He has traveled in almost about 60 countries, presented around 250 United lectures, 2,000 lectures in India. He wrote 125 scientific publications. There are a lot of other things I won't, that is highly cited scientist. In science what happens, if one person writes a paper, if they have to do further research, they will keep on referring. So how many citations you did, that is the indicator of your impact factor, what we call it. He wrote an article in Hindi also today on higher education. He got French highest award, Legion d'Honneur, Padma Bhushan, and so many other things, So he is the past president of Society of Biological Chemists of India, Indian Academy of Social Sciences, Society for Scientific Values, former chairman of Knowledge Commission, which produced a document, member of National Security Advisory Board. Currently is the chairman of Council for Social Development Southern Region, the medically aware and responsible citizens of India, and Sambhavana Trust. So I request him to give a big word for Professor Bhargava. Now I will introduce Professor V.S. Prasad. Prasad was born in 1942 in a small village in Khammam district of Telangana. He obtained Masters and PhD in Public Administration from Osmania University. Professor Prasad is known for his contribution to open and distance learning and quality assurance. I know how Dr. Ram Reddy and they were the pioneers, first open university in the country. Then Ram Reddy sir moved to Delhi, sir also I think he has gone. Then till recently he was chairman of NAC, National Accreditation Council in Bangalore, where they audit the universities and give ratings for So he is an internationally recognized expert in the field of open and distance learning, the Commonwealth of Learning, recognition of services to ODU honored him with the award of Fellow of Commonwealth Learning. Professor Prasad headed the project of Government of Mauritius as a project director, Open University of Mauritius from January 2009 to 2010. Presently, Professor Prasad is engaged in the study of advocacy activities in higher education, particularly in the areas of open and distance learning and quality assurance. So just give me the hand. Professor Revati garu, I asked her to give a data. She said no. She is a professor at Center for Economic Social Sciences in Hyderabad. Earlier I know she worked in Kakti University, and she was also president of the Rural Library Foundation. Then I took over from her last year. So that's how we know each other. Professor Akbarali Khan sir, former Vice Chancellor of Telangana University, presently the Dean Faculty of Commerce. So that's basically is back to the department. Professor bhargava, I know I was a student when he was in the college, Arts College. He was Professor of Economics, now retired. Currently is the Chairman for Save Education Committee, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, both I think, because it's formed. Earlier Andhra Pradesh. Professor Satyanarayana Garu is the Usmania University Teachers Association President. So we thought all these eminent people who are in education, research, etc. So this can't be, it can't be any better than any panel for our kind of debate today. So again I say, request our speakers to be 10 to 15 minutes. So all of you when you speak it will take 90 minutes. So then we'll have question and answers. So please keep in mind, and this is our direction that we want to give certain advisory or direction paper to the government of Telangana on higher education. However, as we discussed, you cannot separate higher education from school education. But as a whole gamut we cannot take at the same time, so we said first we will take higher education. Probably we should have taken school education first, but whatever reasons, we will definitely take school education also seriously and do similar work. So this is what the introduction, and I'll start with a joke, if you don't mind. Sir, only 1 minute I'll take. It's not a joke, but it's a reality also. How our education system in Andhra Pradesh, SYL and Telangana, all our education, examination oriented, multiple choice question, mugging up, etc. etc. So one request, please keep your cell phones switched off or keep it in silent mode. So like this in our Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, every June the MSET results are announced. So today there are so many newspapers, TV channels, so they want definitely breaking news. So once they announce who is the first, second, third ranker, so all these TV people and paper people rush to that person's house, first ranker. So they call him out of his house. Then they said, please give some advice to the next year candidates. So they tried with him for about 10 minutes. He is not opening his mouth. The boy who came in first ranker, when the journalists are asking so many questions, that person didn't open his mouth. Then they got irritated, called his mother. Mother, this fellow is not opening his mouth. Well, what is this? He is not cooperating. Then his mother said, sorry and we don't mind, because whenever you ask a question, you have to give 4 options, then only will answer. So that is the state of education today, MSET based. There are some, we are all know everything. So that's a very pathetic situation we are in today in Telangana and even Andhra. After all, there are others and separated, but situation is doing more different in Andhra. So with this now, I request Professor Dr. Bhargava to give his talk. You can sit down and I'll do that.
My friends, I think the most important problem with higher education today, in fact, with all of education today, is that it is highly commercialized. And I dare say that there are far more commercial institutions, educational institutions today than institutions in the educational institutions in the public sector. There are about 600 universities, and the real universities are really about 1/3 of that number. But there are 25,000, nearly 25,000 affiliated colleges. The situation doesn't exist in any other country that I know of, and as Sudhakar mentioned, I've had the privilege of traveling through nearly 60 countries. The standards are extremely low. The employability is very poor. Between 70 to 95% graduates, depending on which sector you're looking at, that we produce today are unemployable, totally unemployable. And I say this from personal experience as well as the experience of a very large number of distinguished educationists in the country today. They carry out no research. You can't really have good higher education without any research being carried out by the teachers. The quality of teachers is extremely poor. And education is really being treated as a commodity today, which is for sale in these colleges which are set up to make money, universities that are set up to make money. And therefore, I think perhaps the best advice that one can give to the Telangana government is to decommercialize education, both higher education and school education, to which I'll make a reference in a moment. This can be done by nationalizing the private universities. After all, we did nationalize banks and insurance once upon a time in the past, and that paid heavy dividends. As far as affiliated colleges are concerned, there are three possibilities of these 25,000 colleges, as has been mentioned by my friend Yashpal in the Yashpal Commission's report to the Ministry of Human Resource Development. I dare say that out of 25,000 or so colleges, maybe between 1,000 and 2,000 are good colleges. They're probably almost entirely trust-run colleges, not set up to make money. They could be converted into universities. We need 3,000 universities, and we don't even have 1/5 of that number. So this will help if 1,000 colleges can be converted into universities. Good colleges, I said primarily trust-run colleges. The other is some of them which have the potential of becoming universities could be given 3 to 5 years to come to that standard. And the rest of them could be converted into technical institutions. We need 200,000 vocational institutions. We only have 5,000. So these remaining affiliated colleges could be converted into these vocational institutions. And we could have one common entrance test for all the universities in the country for all courses, as happens in the United States, for example. And I will go brief on the United States on other accounts. So that's my first recommendation. My second recommendation is that as of today, none of the universities in Telangana or even Andhra have undergraduate classes. Now India is the only country where universities don't have undergraduate classes. Believe me, it's the only country in the world where none of the 13 universities in Andhra Pradesh and in Telangana have undergraduate classes. In fact, undergraduate classes all over the world are taught by the best teachers. Here they are taught by the worst teachers, because the best teachers are in the universities. So that is the second recommendation. It is also a recommendation of the Yashpal Committee that bring back undergraduate classes in the universities. My third recommendation is to realize that you cannot improve higher education without taking care of school education. In fact, if you take care of school education, higher education will take care of itself. There is no country in the world where school education is in shambles and higher education is doing well. And therefore, I say school education in the country is in shambles today. As you know that we all send our children to private schools. The government schools are in total shambles. Barring central schools, showing that government can run good schools, but central schools are very small in number, and admission to central schools is restricted to government servants who are in transferable jobs. So central schools have shown the way that government state can run very good schools. Central schools are in fact the best schools in the country today. We must revamp our school education system. And we cannot do that until we get a common school system. Where children of people living in a particular area go to a particular school, and therefore children of all classes, all castes go to the same school, and that's what real democracy is about. So let Telangana introduce a common school system. That I think will be the greatest and single most important step that it can take to revamp education and show the way to the country. There is a report for Bihar government prepared by three of my friends, Mr. Gopal and Mr. Dubey and the late Dr. Jha. But unfortunately Dr. Jha, who had worked on that report, died prematurely, and then the Chief Minister lost all interest in Bihar. That report is a regular model for converting education system in the state to a common school system. So a model already exists. My first suggestion is, for heaven's sake, don't get foreign universities in Telangana. My fifth suggestion is, accept the Yashpal Committee's report and act on it. It covers all aspects of higher education. And my sixth recommendation is that please don't forget vocational training. Vocational training is somewhere in between school education and higher education. But we need, as I said, 200,000 vocational training schools. So the Telangana government must open more vocational training schools. There are 2,500 vocations listed in the UN report, but we have facilities in the country for training only in about 80 vocations. Let this number increase. Why can't we have a vocational institution that trains people in Pochapalli, weaving, and so on and so forth, which are related to Telangana? So I think this is really all that I have to say. I think I have not taken more than 15 minutes. I have left 3 articles with Sudhakar which concern higher education, and I hope he can make use of it. One of them for publishing PW, one in the Tribune and one in Indian Express. Well, thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you, sir, for your precise and very specific recommendations. I think definitely we will go through even Yashpal Committee report again, and also Bihar Committee report which you are referring, so common schooling. So thank you very much for your precise and very sharp lecture and point-wise. Now I request Professor B.S. Prasad, or we'll go this order, maybe not in this one. Professor B.S. Prasad.
Mr. Sudhakar, fellow panelists and friends, let me at the outset thank this Chirchavalika organizers, Mr. Vedukumar and his team, for organizing this activity. In a democracy, the public reasoning is very critical, is very important, and the public reasoning should be the basis for taking decisions in the democracy, and this is a forum for public reasoning, and I am very happy to participate in this and thankful to the organizers. I would like to make one general observation and 2 specific suggestions for action. See, I agree with all the suggestions made by Professor Bhargava, but I am not going into those things. But let me start with a general observation. When Mr. Sudhakar asked me on what topic you are going to speak, I said the topic will be action is wisdom. When I said action is wisdom, what is required is in the action is a convergence of policy and implementation. Sometimes in the public life you find there is a disconnect between the policies and implementation. What is required is the convergence of this policy and implementation. The political system has a responsibility for the formulation of policy, and administrative system has a responsibility for the implementation, but the convergence, if it is missing, this is a problem. In the higher education system or in the education system in general, in a democracy when we are looking, this convergence and this action should be based on certain framework.
the framework for action is very, very important. What should be the framework for action in Telangana state?